You're watching Moments with Jill Walker. Today I'm talking about the subject called Others, Part 2. Several months ago I talked about the subject of others, and I feel led to talk about it again today. What does the Bible have to say about others? I think most people, if they would just admit it, they would realize in their natural, without the help of God, they just tend to be a little bit on the selfish side. A lot of times, they just tend to think about themselves maybe a little more than others. Now, I remember as a child, when it was dessert time, not so much the meal, but at the dessert time or at a time when it was somebody's birthday and they were cutting the dessert or a birthday cake. I have two brothers, an older and a younger one, and we would say, "Give me the big piece, give me the big piece." How many have ever been guilty of that? And then as we grew older, we realized, well, that was kind of childish to do that. So we might think along those lines, not necessarily about food, but maybe something else. Like, let's say we're in a store and we're walking up in line just at the same time that someone else, a stranger that we don't know, is walking in that same line at the checkout. What's your first reaction? Especially if you have more food in your cart than they do. Well, the nice thing to do is to say, "You can go on ahead before me. That's all right. Just go on ahead and get in line." Doesn't that give you a good feeling to do that? I mean, after all, they probably have less than what you have. Well, what if it's about the same? Still do it. Well, what if you have less and they have more? Well, you have to judge who was in the line first, who was walking up. So many times I have seen people act like they did not see me, and I know that they did, but they act like they didn't see me so they could hurry up and crowd in line. How about at a stop sign? Have you ever been at a four-way stop sign and you pull up and you know it's your turn to go? I mean, you looked around and you saw, hey, it's my turn to go. It's a good thing you waited a few seconds because another car took your turn. Well, during times like these examples I've given you, it can kind of frustrate you a little bit or make you realize how selfish some people can be. So we're talking about others. It says in Galatians chapter 5, verse 13, by love, there's the key, by love, serve one another. Jesus came to serve, didn't he? He died on the cross thinking about others. That's right. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 says, let each esteem others better than themselves. Now that's a hard one sometimes, especially if we know other people have some glaring qualities that we don't have. At least we don't think so, right? Let each esteem others better than themselves. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. What does that mean? Well, first of all, it's talking about being humble and caring for other people's soul as well. Now, it may not say let's care for other people's soul, but we have to remember that people may not have the same qualities you have, but they might have something in their personality that might be better than what you have in yours. Just maybe, just sometimes. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 25 says, he that watereth shall be watered also himself. In other words, when you take care of other people's needs, you'll also be taken care of by God. Just as he uses me or uses you as an instrument in his hands, you could say, to bless somebody else, he'll use somebody else to bless you as well. Matthew 23:11, I'm reading a portion of it now, says, he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. Let me read that again. Matthew 23:11, he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. Jesus revealed that, told that, and showed that as an example to his disciples when he started washing those disciples' feet. And he says, just like I'm doing to you, you do to others. Now, we're not talking about let's go around and wash people's feet, but let's be a servant. I'm not talking about being abused. I'm not talking about being taken advantage of, but I am talking about being willing to put others before you so you will not be a selfish person. 2 Corinthians 1:4 says, meaning God, who comforts us, he comforts us in all our tribulation, that we, just like we receive comfort from God, it says in 2 Corinthians 1:4, who comforteth us in our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble. With that same comfort God gives us, God can use us to comfort someone else. The theme today is putting others before us. Part 2, putting others before you, or myself, putting others before me. Finally, in Matthew chapter 20, verse 28 says, even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto. That's a sermon right there, those first few words in that verse of Matthew 20, verse 28. Even as the Son of Man, meaning Jesus, came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many. Who are the many? That's you and me. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Even God the Father was thinking of others. Jesus was thinking of others when he hung on that cross. Will you today remember to think of other people? If you have prayer needs, pray. Pray for others. Whatever your need is, if you have financial need, why don't you give just to someone else in need who might even be worse off than you? Remember to think of others. The classic verse is Luke 6:38. Give out of yourself, your time. Give as God is leading you to give. And it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You've been watching Moments with Jill Walker. God bless you today.